Hello and welcome back to Tip the Footy, the site that is more than just tips, or welcome if you're a first-time visitor here. So today, just going to have a quick catch-up with the weekend. Obviously, the roundup should have been out previous to this. Just wanted to see how the Bolton Bury sort of situation panned out before making this video. And obviously, that was last night. It looks like, well, Bury have been expelled. I think Bolton have got like a 14-day extension to maybe get some deal over the line that would possibly rescue their football club. But we'll come on to that in a little while. And also a little chat at the end, a little bit about Bobby Duncan, or more his agent, to be fair. We'll have a little chat about that as well. So first up, a quick roundup of the football. Obviously, Villa beat Everton, surprisingly. But to be fair, Everton didn't offer a lot on the pitch, in my opinion, on that game. Then we started off with a cracker on Saturday. Norwich were probably justifiably beaten by Chelsea. I think Norwich are going to get a serious amount of points at home though if they play like that. I still have question marks over their defensive solidity, but essentially, they are going to score goals, and a lot of the time, if they can just tighten up a bit, I thought they're going to be safe by the looks of things. Brighton obviously lost 2-0 at home to Southampton. Going down to 10 men probably didn't help too much. Like I said in the predictions video, I had Brighton to finish bottom, and there's still a chance of that, but I think that they're looking a lot more solid than the Potter. I think they might be all right. Who else did we have? We had Man United got surprisingly beaten at home by Crystal Palace. I actually asked the opinion of a few Manchester United fans, and they suggested that they were unlucky. They did dominate the game completely, and it was sucker punches. That being said, I mean, there was a little bit of criticism, I think, levelled at Daniel James for celebrating in the manner he did, to get it back to 1-1. I can't be too critical of him. He's still a young player. He's still developing and learning. Your instinct normally is to grab the ball, get back, and try and go for the winner themselves. Ultimately, it didn't happen. But I don't think much criticism really needs to be levelled at Daniel James. I think Man United are going to have a difficult season. I think January is going to be quite key for them. Who they're going to maybe look to get in the transfer market, because they're still a good 3-4 players short, in my opinion. So Sheffield United lost 2-1 as well at home to Leicester. I don't really see that being much of a shock. I think Leicester are a very good side. Sheffield United newly promoted. They're going to need to pick up more points at home, obviously, to have any chance of staying up. But I'm not overly surprised that Leicester turned them over, to be honest. Watford getting beat 3-1 at home by West Ham. Now, that's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, West Ham aren't a bad side, but Watford now, their form towards the back end of last season and how they began this season is definitely a cause for concern, and they probably are putting there probably will be pressure on Javi Gracia now, because they are very... They've changed managers very, very often in their history, particularly their recent history. So, will he be the first to go this summer, this season? There's a massive chance of that happening, I would suspect. Then we finished with Liverpool-Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool absolutely dominated the game. I think there were some bright spots for Arsenal fans to be happy about. I think Pepe looked very good. Aubameyang not so much, although we know he's a top player. Bobby Firmino looked brilliant. Salah was superb. David Luiz was a bit silly, to say the least. The shirt pull, it's just not what you want from your centre back. I've said it before, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that David Luiz always looks better in a back three. He just doesn't suit a two, in my opinion. But yeah, there's definitely some phone ringing. There's definitely some bright spots though for Arsenal to take away from that one. It was a much different game to last season. However, we were ultimately more dominant, but we are a couple of years ahead in our project than they are. They still need to sort the defence out, and I think under Emre they will improve, and they're going to keep improving. They just need to add maybe one or two more at the back. Then we had so then Sunday, Man City routine 3-1 win over Bournemouth. VAR was sort of up for debate in that one, whether you think that David Silva should have got a penalty or not. To me, he looks like he stands on his foot. So letter of the law, I guess it is a penalty, but VAR decided against it. And it's similar with Harry Kane. I don't think Harry Kane's was a penalty. I think the guy slips. The momentum of him carried into it. I think Kane looked for a bit of contact, and I don't think that it was a penalty myself. However, having said that, though, Spurs weren't good enough, and Newcastle obviously scoring through Joe Linton. Newcastle weren't the better side, but Spurs just didn't look like they turned up. They didn't play very well at all, in my opinion. I think Pochettino saying about them being unsettled and stuff because the transfer window's open, the European transfer window. I still think you play Eriksen. I think you just play him. If he's going to go, he's going to go. I mean, has he got 1 year left on his contract? I think so. If clubs in Europe can start speaking to him from January onwards, I can understand Daniel Levy if he wants to cash in because you don't want to let players go for free. We saw that with Emre Can and various other players, but I think that if you're Pochettino, you need to play him. You just need to play your best players, particularly this early in the season. You've got an international break coming up. Just play your best team and try and assess their fitness after that. But definitely, Christian Eriksen should have been playing from the start, in my opinion. I think it's a shame that relations may have soured somewhat between either the coach and the player or the club's hierarchy and the player. But we'll see. And obviously Wolves as well. They had a 1-1 draw with Burnley. They rescued it very, very late. A Raul Jimenez penalty in 97th minute, I think it was. So Burnley, nearly pulled off an absolutely fantastic result away from home. Still is a good result. Not as great as a win, but still a very good result for Burnley. And they look to be doing all right this season. And Ashley Barnes, still the man in form, as is Timu Pukki. So on to the Bury and Bolton situation. There's a lot of people there criticising the Premier League and criticising particularly top six clubs and things like that about these the demise of Bolton and Bury. They're not as relatable as that. It's a lot more complicated than that. The fit and proper owners test needs to be addressed, looked at properly. There needs to be a lot more transparency in the way that these clubs are run because, 1 minute you don't know what's going on. The next thing you know, they're on a slippery slope. For me, it's the revenue that is generated at the top isn't being filtered through the football pyramid significantly, and it's not been done properly. So you can't blame the Premier League for the money that they generate because they are the most marketable football clubs and the most watched leagues in the world. So people are going to always, it's always going to generate a lot more revenue through advertising and sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. And these clubs, it's not the top 20 Premier League clubs' fault that clubs are going bust. What should be done though, and I suggested this before, I mean this is one option. You could have a 1% transfer tax and all that money goes into a kitty at the FA. When a club gets in trouble, they can be bailed out, but on the proviso that they go and source correct, fit and proper owners. I don't see how that would have much of an impact on the Premier League, and it would definitely help out a lot of the low league clubs because we've seen Bury and Bolton, particularly Bury, because I think Bolton might still be all right, but it's only gonna get worse. The next club's gonna go down the same route, then the next one, because we're not learning from these errors early on. We're making huge mistakes, and there is a problem with the filtering down of funds. How we address that, I don't know. I think it was about 6 months ago, people were saying that you could make the money filter down a lot more effectively if you had 5 up, 5 down, so 5 relegated and 5 up from the Championship every year. I'm not really keen on that idea. I prefer it to be 3 and 3, but it would filter the money down quicker. The problem we've got is that, I think Sky was saying that the reporter, when some Bolton fans were being a bit leery behind the cameras and stuff, saying that the Sky were trying to save their club, but it's actually the invent of Sky, or the invent of the Premier League, and Sky's initial investment in that caused a lot of the gulf between the Premiership and the Premier League and the Championship, or Division 1 as it was then. That gap's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger in terms of riches. It's always going to do that, but what we do need to do is look. Every football club needs to get around a table. The whole 92, including some of the non-league clubs as well, but getting around the table and talk about something, getting a deal in place where some of these Premier League revenues do filter down a lot more effectively to ensure that there's a longevity of these other clubs. See, people don't understand, and I think, a lot of people don't understand that losing a football club for a community is devastating. That that's the thing that they do. They've done it all their lives. Week in, week out, they go and support the sides. To have that taken away from them is like losing a limb. It must be horrendous. It must be like losing your right arm. It's just not something that you want anyone to go through. You've seen stories there that someone has lost their partner and their father in this year, and now their club. Obviously, life and death is far more important, but you do feel for these people because it is the thing. It may have been the only bit of social interaction they get on a Saturday, is going to watch their team play, having a beer after the game, or going to the clubhouses, all that kind of stuff, mingling with a lot of players. It's just devastating for these clubs, and I think that obviously a lot more can be done, and unfortunately it doesn't look as though there is enough being done. How we change it, I don't know, but we do need to look at something, because who's next? So just briefly as well, before we wrap this up, just having a quick look at Bobby Duncan and particularly his agent's comments recently. Now, obviously, if the lad is going through any kind of mental health issues, that's terrible for him, and we can only hope that the club will do all they can to facilitate some decent counselling, some ways around him feeling as low as he is, and look at ways to improve his mental health if that's the issue. But his agent, I think, is badly advising him here. If Bobby Duncan wants to leave the football club, that's absolutely fine. You are under a contract, and it's down to the club how they let you go. I don't understand how he feels the need for first team football with us at this very point in time, because for me he's behind me and Brewster in the pecking order. I think Brewster's going to get some game time this year, but Bobby Duncan could have played League Cup games. If you get a favourable draw in the first 2 or 3 rounds, you'll get the League Cup games, and then that's your chance to shine and put yourself into contention for first team football. The thing is, you're trying to dislodge Mane, Salah and Firmino, which I don't think Bobby Duncan's got the capability of doing that yet. I just don't think he's got that level yet. But if he wants to leave the football club, then he can go. I don't see why there's an issue. I don't see why the club are doing anything wrong in trying to get him to adhere to his terms of his contract. And I'm sure that they're just looking for a solution that suits all parties. But I think his agent coming out as he has, the statement he's made, has put Bobby Duncan in a worse light because of what he's been saying. I wish Bobby Duncan all the best. I hope he goes and has a good career. If he wants to do it at Liverpool, wants to do it somewhere else, that's fine. But I would seriously consider changing my agent. The lad's got a lot of talent, and he is a young lad, and he does need to start playing football eventually to develop. But I can't really see what's wrong with the loan. But the club make the decisions at the end of the day. But for me, I would probably let him go to prevent any more of this sort of stuff going through publicly as it is. I don't think it should have been handled in this way. I think it should have been handled behind closed doors. His agent coming out as he has, I think it's just put a bad light on the situation. The club could absolutely do more by the looks of things, but it should be handled in house. It's not something for public, to be out there in the public. It's just not something that should be happening. It's like a bickering, but in public, and it doesn't make the club look good. It doesn't make the agent look good. It doesn't make Bobby Duncan look good. Next time, hopefully do it behind closed doors. But for me, I'd let him go, and all the best. Right, we'll wrap that up there. It's already gone a bit longer than I expected. Everton travel to Lincoln tonight, so if you're watching that, or if you're travelling over or down to that, have a good time. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's great to see you again. I'm Dante. Take care.